Hi there, welcome to our channel. I'm Vic.
I'm Nick.
And we are MV Board Gaming. And today we're looking at It's a Wonderful Kingdom. This is a game designed by Frederick Garrard, and it's for 1 to 2 players, published by Lucky Duck Games. Nick is going to go through how you play, and then we're going to give our reviews.
Hey everyone, welcome to the table. We are set up here for a 2-player game of It's a Wonderful Kingdom. Now there are several modules to this game. I'm going to teach you the base game. You have to play with at least one module, so whichever one you pick, you're going to go ahead and select one of those to play with. Again, it is mandatory. These are double-sided because this is either a 2-player game or a solo. So you'll see that the symbol here will show 2 players, other side will show solo. And you're going to pick one of these 3 and get the game started. Let's say we get this one, set the other ones aside, and it will have different conditions in the rule book. So in this case, I believe these are the advisors. So we would add these advisors card to this development deck here. But I'm just going to teach you the basics of the game and how to play, and you'll add on whatever variant you would like to use. So in a 2-player game here, we are dealt 7 regular cards, development cards, and also a calamity. So we have 8 cards total. You're gonna go ahead and reveal. So we're gonna have 3 phases here and 4 rounds. So we're in round 1, which means the blue player is gonna go first. And we are going to break up these 3 phases and explain them one at a time. The first phase here is the choice phase. And what you're going to do is you're going to reveal 2 cards from the deck, one on the top and one on the bottom. And the first player, the blue player, is going to take their 8 cards and decide where they would like to play 2 of them. So they can pick any 2. Let's just say they pick these, and they'll be able to decide where they want them to go. Now they can put them both in the same. They can spread them out. It doesn't matter, it's their choice. So let's just say they put 1 here and 1 here. Now they had an option. They have 2 of these trap discs. They can spend one of these in order to put one of them face down, or spend both to put both face down. However, these would be used for the round. You can replenish them after the whole round, and a round is doing this until we run out of cards. So we have 8 cards, it's gonna be 4 times we're doing this. So let's just say they didn't want to use it. And then the second player is going to choose one of these pairs in this case. It could be 3 to 1. You don't know, depending on what the other player chose. But in this case, it is one of these pairs. And they are going to, let's say, take this bottom pair. And they're going to add it to their planning area, or their selection area, which is going to be below their duchy. Okay, and we'll come back to that phase later. Now, the other player is going to do the same thing. They're going to take 2 cards, and they're going to place on either one. They could place them both here. They could mix and match, whatever the case might be. And we're going to keep doing this until we run out of cards. And the other player is going to take whatever they would like. If they would like this, whatever. It's going to go to their selection area until we run out of cards. And then we're going to go ahead and move to the planning phase. Let me show you that. Okay, so we're focused on the red player's selection area, everything they've collected in the previous phase, and now they're going to decide which ones they would like to go into construction and which ones they would like to recycle. Now, if they would like to recycle, well, that's easy. All you do is discard the card and take the cube that it shows at the top right. So if I did that with this one, I would remove this card and take a purple cube right now, and that's out of the game. You'll also notice at this point I should flip these 2 over because my opponent played trap tokens, that means, and now at this point I can flip them, and we see right away we have a calamity, which is a negative card for us. We took a negative that our player tricked us into taking. It is -4 points at the end of the game. I'm just going to go ahead and put this off to the side with my duchy to remember that I am going to lose 4 points end of the game because of that card. Now if I did not want to recycle, I just slide this up. If I want to, let's keep all 3 of these, let's say, I'll slide that up in my construction area, and that would mean my other 2 are going to get recycled, because those are my only 2 options. I can either recycle and get the cubes right now, or say I'm going to build them. So I would take a purple and a blue for those 2 cards that I'm getting rid of. So now I have 3 cubes, and at this point, we are done with that phase, and we're going to take a look at our duchy. Our duchies here says, and these is double-sided. This is side A. We have a side B here, which doesn't have any bonus points. But we're on side A. That's how you're supposed to start the game if you're just learning. Side A says that for every yellow card we have constructed at the end, we're going to get 2 victory points. So it gives us some direction. And it also shows that we have this at production. So we're definitely going to get 3 of these gray build cubes and 1 of these gold money cubes. And also, last thing, aside from like a theme name and a symbol here, we have this, which is a red wild. So these ones are wild. What it means is cubes we don't use or don't want to use, we can put 5 of them on this card because these cubes will not roll over if they're not assigned to cards. And we can trade 5 cubes in for a red wild cube. Okay? So right now we are going to take our production because after we assign which is going to get recycled and which one's going to go in construction, we get to produce. I'm going to produce currently the default, which is 3 of these and 1 of these. Now normally, later in the game, we're going to be producing a lot more. So what you're supposed to do here is with your opponent, call out how many of each you produce. And you're going to start left to right. So of the gray, if I produce more than my opponent, I will get to put 1 of these military chips, soldiers they call them, 1 of these soldiers on my area. If I'm the red player, I put it right here. If I'm the blue player, I put it over there. If I don't have one there. If I have one there, I take it off and I put it in my area. I actually have this soldier now. That's for each one that you win. You have majority. Ties are not friendly. You get nothing. So that's that part. And so in this case, we know we're just going to complete the basic because we haven't had a chance to construct it just yet. So we are going to take the 3 gray, 1 yellow, gold, and our production's finished. Our opponent's doing the same thing. We know that it's basic. We don't have to compare. There's no supremacy on this phase in the first round. It's impossible. Now is when we can actually add things. In this case, I could build this because I have the 2 gray, 1 purple, and 1 blue. And I could assign these perhaps if I would like, and could, let's say I want to do 1 of these yellows right here. Fine, I can leave that there. Now I don't have any place for these right now. So I'm just going to put them right here, otherwise I lose them. So this is setting me up later to get 1 of these red cubes. But wasteful for now. So this is built. I return these cubes. I get any instant bonuses. In this case, there is an instant bonus. I get a soldier. These 2, so I'll just go ahead and take it. You get that immediately. You don't put it out here. That is only for the supremacy area. So I get that right away. And this is what I get on every production. So it adds to my production. Now you can see how you can get supremacy bonuses easier by having more than your opponents. So my next time I produce, I'm going to get 2 blue along with these 3 gray and 1 gold. This one just stays there. I've committed this yellow gold to stay on this card, and this stays here as well, and it will just take up spots in my construction area. This is unlimited, however. It's just wasteful if you're not going to plan on building something to keep it here because it does have value to recycle if you're not going to build. On these cards, aside from what you're doing with production, you are also trying to get endgame points. You already know that my duchy gives me 2 for every gold card like this. So that's 2 extra points if I collect that. You're also trying to get victory points at the bottom left of the card. These are just straight up victory points on the 2 cards that are on the table right now. This one's just 1 victory point, but it's good for production. This one is 3 victory points, and its production is 1 gold per every yellow card that I have built. So my building area, the things that are already constructed and developed are over here. What I'm constructing currently is just above my duchy. What I am deciding if I want to, the selection area that I got in that phase is all below the duchy. All right, so you're doing all that simultaneously as far as producing, deciding what you're building, all that, and then you just go to another round and do the exact same thing with 8 cards. You're going to keep playing 4 rounds. Whoever has the most points by virtue of this, the victory points, and I will show you a couple others just so, here you go. 2 for every blue card. And there are multiples of 4 even, multiples of 3. There's just different ones for that. There's also, some of them require the red, so it's not just a wild, some of them actually require the red. Oh, I have one right here as well. So yeah, you're just going to keep playing. You're going to have 4 rounds of doing that same thing. You're going to play based on a scenario. Like I said, it's going to change up a little bit. You can see that I have different options here. You can only do these one at most the whole game. You put your chip on it to show that the red player, hey, I did that already. I spent my 3 gold for 4 red at one point, so I can't do that again. Again, there's different rules for each one that you select. And there you go. That's the gist of how you're playing It's a Wonderful Kingdom. We'll go back up top and tell you what we think.
All right, and we are back for our review of It's a Wonderful Kingdom. Thank you, as usual, for the overview, Nick, of how you play. So I guess we'll get started with, was this a Kickstarter? There's a game found. We bought this retail, right?
Retail, yeah. Mm-hmm. We played the original on the cruise, Dice Tower Cruise. We played It's a Wonderful World, and I enjoyed it. I remember you didn't quite get the hang of it at first, so we probably want to give it another play. But we got this one.
Yeah, and this is a streamlined solo and 2-player only version of the game. Mm-hmm. So it's a new release game, I believe, not too long ago. Yeah. So we've played it a few times at 2 players. Nick has not played it at solo yet?
I played it quite a few times at solo while you were gone.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, you were gone, so I did it for like a week, and then I taught the game on a separate day.
Cool, that all makes sense. So why don't you get started with, do you want to share anything about the solo experience before we start talking about how we felt?
I'll get into it, the pros and cons about the solo experience.
Okay.
So we can go into the pros.
Yeah.
That I really enjoyed the phases, as far as I enjoyed the production. I enjoy the planning. The planning is really cool. And I enjoyed the drafting part of the choice. I like drafting a lot in games. Mm-hmm. So I think that's pretty cool. I like those. There's rewarding decisions in the game. A lot of times you're thinking about not only what can I fulfill, but what is the card going to give me? What if I just take it to recycle it?
Yeah.
So there is plenty of choices, and they're rewarding choices.
Mm-hmm.
I like the art. I think the art's pretty good in this game. The good colors. In the box pops. It has the blues and the reds, and I like that. I have even art above my fireplace that kind of has that scheme, that feels like that scheme.
Yeah.
And I like the different modes. I like the fact that they add different modes of play. They have choices. It's not the same game every time. You can decide what mode works for you. I think there are some better than others. And I think that's cool that they took the time to create different modes so it wouldn't get too stale. It makes you want to try the other ones at least. Mm-hmm. And I think, to your point, I think it is great as a solo game. I think it works really well as a solo game.
Amazing to hear. I felt the same about the bluffing fun and interesting choices in, I don't know the mechanic is when you give a card split and choose or something.
Kind of, you split, I choose.
Yeah.
But you're not really splitting. You can decide where to go. You can even leave one as blank and just, force them to take a negative card if you really want.
Yeah, some of the trickery of, did you give me a calamity? What could that be? Why'd you do that way? Why are you avoiding those cards? That's kind of fun. I enjoy that. I think it's satisfying to complete the constructions that you're working on and then gaining that supremacy from round to round when that phase goes through in production and after production, where you have a chance to, well, I guess that is production.
What was that?
When you gain supremacy and when you go through that again and each time and you see who has that. Yeah. I found the turns to be very quick and snappy. It's not too difficult unless you're sitting there really staring at what cards you really want. I mean, it's a quick choice, and then you're going to put out the ones you want. Not too complicated to learn. This was not a difficult game to get your head around. I found the modular approach interesting as well. I liked that that the replayability would be there because you can try out different modules. And I definitely thought that some were better than others, for sure. And I thought that the art was good too. I like the color schemes just the same. Components are it's fine. They're fair. They're good. Pretty standard. They're not anything to write home about. But I thought they were good.
Cubes are good. They're translucent.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's
that.
Always fun. So, what do you have to say that you didn't care for?
Well, first off, I actually like a lot when you can do your own thing, assigning different things. Just like worker assignment, you're doing your own board in Dinosaur World, Dinosaur Island. It's nice, and you're doing your own planning phase where you're putting cubes out. I like that.
Yeah.
You're gonna hold by round 4, you get a ton of cubes, and you can assign them any way you want to. It's really cool. Negatives. I think that the sneakiness gets tiresome.
Me
sneaking
too.
a little bit. Like you can throw those traps out there, and whatever mode you're playing. Mm-hmm. I think it's a cool idea. It's just, to me, it's like the most tiresome part of the game in the 2-player mode.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist in a solo, so I like the solo actually more than the 2-player. And the box insert is another negative. I don't like it. There's too much room in the box for what you get for these like cubes cards and this small board, but it's thin and it's like The insert is designed because they have a weird board, and it's way too much room in there for this game. To me, this is a small game. This could be a small board. It doesn't have to be this weird shape. I don't understand the thought behind it. It does stand out when you open it up. You're like, man, I want to throw out this insert, but it holds this weird ass board in a way. So we keep it. Like I said, I liked the more solo. I disliked the quest scenario. It was the last scenario introduced because it forces you to get soldiers, and it takes away a lot of what is good in the game when it forces you to do something like that.
Yeah,
because you want to build these different engines with the cubes. You're trying to do that stuff, and then all of a sudden you have to worry about soldiers, which takes too much focus to do because it's a large number of soldiers. And that's the first one we played because the complexity was lowest, and we was like, all right, well, let's jump into the low complexity one, and it was the worst to me. So it was a bad starting point.
Yeah.
So don't do that. I'd recommend not doing that. I'd recommend one of the other two. I think my personal favorite is probably the menace, where you get different menaces. There's 4 different menaces. I think that's more because I think the soldiers actually they're doing something that makes sense. You're not just spending them to transfer cubes like you are with advisors. When you have an advisor in the advisor scenario, I think that one was fairly weak because I expected more from the advisors. I expected them to give me an ability, something cool, not just spend 8 soldiers to turn this into red or whatever. That to me, that I felt that was weak. So. To me, the menace is the best of the 3, my personal favorite.
Yeah, I liked it too.
It just makes more sense what you're doing.
Yeah,
you're trying to defeat these negative cards in your tableau.
Yeah, it made it more fun that way.
So yeah, I think this. I just think the scenarios are hit or miss, and I wish I would have saw some different things in there. So there are some pros, some cons.
Yeah, I also felt that the army's rewards were not really used when we had played. Like, a lot of the time we were not in the different scenario. The first one, we never really went for those items that needed all of these armies. Like, I know you had to do it to win, but there was these other things you could spend
that's the
on.
Quest scenario.
Yeah, we don't really. I found that the armies weren't being used to their full extent sometimes in different. But yeah, it was kind of hit or miss there. And then I felt that sometimes you wouldn't get, or you would never see, like, a particular resource you need, and it just may not come about. And yeah, you can do that whole exchange thing, but then if you didn't plan ahead to have those cubes allocated to that purpose, you could just get stuck never completing a construction because you just never managed to get that card because someone took it, or you had to put it out, you were forced to play it for your opponent or something, and then you can't get it. But that's part of the game. I understand. I know that.
Only 4 rounds too, so it's hard to build up a good system.
Yeah, exactly. So you're not going to be getting that in production sometimes, that item you want.
And production happens after planning, so that's also a little weird, right?
Yeah, definitely. And then I find the score can be a surprise. If you find that you don't get the scoring cards that you need, so you may think you're being successful. Oh man, I got all these cards, or I'm completing all these constructions, and then in the end you go, oh, I lost. Oh, okay, or that score wasn't as high as maybe I thought it was going to be. So to me, it was sort of surprising that my score, I felt better, like the game experience was not the same as what the score was.
Yeah, and
I don't know if that makes sense.
That's another negative about the quest module is that your score is gonna go real low because you have to focus so much on those soldiers.
Yeah.
And you can't even do it. You can't even win unless you have a certain amount of soldiers. If you don't have a certain amount of soldiers, you lose. No matter how many score you have, you can have a ton of high scoring cards.
Yeah.
But yeah, once I got a hang of getting those multipliers and whatnot, like seeing those, because there's a lot of different things to focus on. There's a lot of things.
There is. Yeah.
Like, you don't just want to build a building; you want a purpose for that building.
Yeah.
So, all right. I think my score is gonna be a little higher than yours because I like the solo. The 2-player, I think it'd be somewhere in the 6s.
Yeah.
The solo, I'm somewhere in the 8s. I think it's a really good solo.
Wow, that's good.
And it's encouraged me to go ahead and buy, and I already did, the original version because we only played it once. I liked it. I like to bring it back to the table, see if we get the hang of it, and I think it'll be a good success. I think I'm excited about that one, and maybe I would consider selling this one because I'm giving it a 7/7. I think it's fine. To me, if you don't like solo, I probably wouldn't get it. As a 2-player, I didn't find it that it's hit and miss because there are parts that are like, this is really enjoyable. Yeah. And then it comes back and then it's just not.
Yeah, I know. That's why I gave it a 6.8. My score, I was going to go a little lower, but then I thought about, I like 2-player snappy games with you. I like having those on deck, but we have that. And I would, if you wanted to sell this, I would say, you're have my blessing if you needed it, because I'm certainly not traveling soon. I won't be traveling as much. So I mean, if you're not going to be doing it for the solo, I don't know what value it had in that sense, based on our game library and the games we have. If I were more of a
solo player, I'd probably keep it.
Exactly, yeah. But if you don't have a lot of 2-player games, in my opinion, maybe I would give it. If this was one of the few 2-player only snappy card games we had, it could be a 7-1 for me, but realistically 6-8.
And the environment exists. It's a 6-8.
Yeah.
So I think if you are someone that does play 2-player games, but you play a lot of solo, this is worth a purchase to me. I liked it so much at solo, and I just kept playing back to back. I liked it a lot because there wasn't that big hiccup where you're doing the trap things, and it's like, this is getting old. It works. It flows better to me.
Yep, I agree. Well, thank you so much for tuning in for our overview and review of It's a Wonderful Kingdom. We hope you enjoyed it. Please click the thumbs up if you did, and subscribe to our channel for more great reviews. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.